We will continue with this particular problem now. So till now we had completed calculation of this x, that is Rm minus Rf, y Rp minus Rf, summation xy and summation x square. Now whatever the values that we have been calculated for these four columns, we are going to utilize this as per the formula requires. Okay, so here beta is n into summation xy minus summation x summation y divided by n of summation x square minus summation x the whole square. Okay, now n is nothing but the number of years that we are having here, so that is 5 into summation xy is the value that we have calculated, that is 197 minus summation x. Okay, we are having here as, here this is not required, summation x is 15 that we have calculated and summation y is 21. So summation x is 15 that we have calculated here and summation y is 21 divided by n is 5 into summation x square that we have calculated here, it is 145 minus summation x the whole square, this is 15 the whole square. Okay, so 197 into 5 is 985. So this value will change. I had taken 15 into 5. In the formula we are not having n here. Summation x is 15 and summation y is 21. So 15 into 21. 15 into 21. Okay, so the value was correct. Here I have wrongly substituted it as 5 into 15 and 5 into 21, which was not required. But the value is correct. Yes, the value is correct here, 315. Okay, divided by 5 into 145 is 725 minus 15 square is 225. Okay, so once we substitute, simplify this numerator and denominator, 670, that is 985 minus 315, we get 670 divided by 725 minus 225 is 500, that is equal to 1.34. Now we have calculated the value of beta as 1.34. Okay, in the question we are asked to calculate alpha and beta. To calculate alpha we need the value of beta. Why we need the value of beta? Because as per the formula, alpha is equal to y bar, that is nothing the mean value of y, minus beta into x bar, that is the mean value of x. So we cannot calculate alpha first because we need the value of beta in calculation for alpha, and that is why first we have to start with the calculation of beta, and then whatever the value that we derive after calculation, that will be used to calculate the value of alpha. Okay, now how do we get this y bar or the mean value of y? We have calculated the summation of y, that is 21. So mean value is going to be summation y divided by n. So it is going to be 21 divided by 5. This I have shown in the working note. If you want, you can write y bar is equal to summation y divided by n. Okay, which is nothing but 21 divided by 5, which is the normal way we calculate the mean value. That is what it is, 4.2. Okay, then we are having for x bar as summation 15. Okay, summation x is equal to 15 divided by 5. Okay, we get the mean value as 3. Okay, so these values we are going to substitute in alpha because the alpha formula is y bar minus beta into x bar. So what is y bar here? 4.2, which we have calculated, minus the beta value is 1.34 that we have calculated here, into the mean value of x. So here summation 15 divided by n is 5, we get the value as 3. So 1.34 into 3. So after simplifying this, 4.2 minus 1.34 into 3 is 4.02. So the alpha value is 0.18 and the value of beta is 1.34. So we are completing the first aspect of the question that is being asked. Determine the equity funds alpha and beta coefficients for the 5-year period of time. Okay. But we are asked to calculate even the second aspect of the question, which I have not solved in this particular document. It says if the market return is 20% and the risk-free rate of return is 10%, what will be the alpha value for the assured return of 25% from the fund? Okay, if possible, I want students to calculate this. Okay, else I will type this in the document and give it later, because if I start solving here, it will consume a lot of time. But I'll just tell you how to solve it. Okay, here we are not given with the additional number of years. Okay, here what we are asked, if the market return is 20%. Now we are not going to consider these values. For these values which are being given in the form of question, we have calculated, determine the equity fund alpha and beta coefficient for 5-year period of time. So that we have already done using the table which is given for us with regard to equity fund return, with regard to Sensex return, as well as the treasury bill return, that is risk-free rate of return. But here they're asking if the market return. So they have given the second sub question, you can say. This can be named as sub question A. And this is the second part of the question. You can call it as B. If the market return is 20% and the risk-free rate return is 10%, what will be the alpha value for the assured return of 25% from the fund? But for this, first again we have to calculate the value of beta, because unless and until you will not calculate the value of beta, we cannot find alpha, because in alpha you have y bar minus beta into x bar. So first we have to calculate beta based on what? Based on this particular information. Okay, so here market return is RM, you can take this as RM. Okay, and RF you can take it as 10%, so you will get the value of X. Okay, then we are having, we have to calculate the value of Y. So you are having the funds assured return, that is assured return of 25% from the fund is nothing but RP. So you can take this 10% RP minus RF, and there only you can, it means we have to just calculate for one value. Doesn't mean we are using 2484, but we are going to use only for one period, because they have just given us the values of 20%, 10% and 25%. That is, they have given us RM, RF, RP. That we are going to classify in terms of X, Y. We are going to find out summation XY, and then we are going to find X square. Put that into the formula. Okay, here N is going to be 1. Okay, because we are not given with the sequence. Fine. And then we are going to calculate the alpha value. Okay, here y bar is going to be again divided by 1, because we are having only one value there. Okay, so with this you have to calculate the value of alpha. So just try out, else I will just put that in the, add that in the document and forward it. Okay, up till here with regard to portfolio evaluation. So up till here we are completed with portfolio evaluation with the theory aspect as well as with that of problems. Okay, if anybody is having any doubt with regard to portfolio evaluation that we have done up till now, if you're having any doubt you can ask, else I will just try to brief out with regard to portfolio revision.
Hello, ma'am.
Hmm?
Ma'am, in this ninth problem, ma'am. Ma'am, as formula change ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ma'am, alpha bracket RF plus B, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Getting no?
I'm not, your voice is not audible. or you can just put that into the chat box. You're speaking of ninth problem?
Yes, ma'am.
It is better you put that into chat box because I'm not audible. You're not audible to me correctly. Okay, here there is a question whether you will send the corrected PDF in the group when there is already a link which has been created. Okay. When I ask the computer instructor, they say we can download it. Okay. So we are going to put whatever it is with regard to notes. I will be connecting it to that, attaching it to the link. So you can download it from that particular link, whether it is for your video recordings are also uploaded. Along with that, the document is also attached. Conclusion once again of ninth problem. Okay. Now, when they have told us compare the fund's performance with market index performance, okay. When they have given this particular data, it clearly says we have to okay, here one more. I will just answer Netra's question first and then I will take back another question. Okay. Now here we are asked with regard to compare the fund's performance with that of market index performance. Okay. Now, when we are using this particular Jensen's alpha to calculate the with regard to the excess return or the Jensen alpha here, we have calculated these values and later on they have given us compare the fund's performance with market index performance. Okay. Now we have calculated the market index performance as 13. Okay. So it is actually the expected return for market index. Okay. And we have calculated the expected return for the portfolio as per CAPM model. Now, which the confusion is which value should we use? Whether should we use the expected return values with that of market index or should we use the Jensen alpha that we have calculated for actual return and the expected return? Okay. Now here, as we have calculated the market index value as 13. So this is going to be in comparison with the expected return that we have calculated for rest of the portfolios of A, B and C. Now, how are we going to compare here? If suppose if the value of portfolio A is 13, okay, and market index is also 13, it means it is neutral, okay. And for B, if you are having 12.3, it is less than. So the performance is not matching to that of the market index performance. So rather you can shift your securities for those areas which is having good market return, either it is 13 or more than that. But here it is less than 13 when you're comparing. But when you're comparing in case of portfolio A, it is 15, which is actually doing well compared to that of the market return. So you can go for security A. Then when you're seeing in case of security C in comparison with 13, it is extremely doing well. So what are we going to write in the conclusion here? In comparison with the market index, portfolio A and portfolio B is doing well because the returns are more than that of the market index. But what about portfolio B here? Portfolio B is not performing well, or in terms though we cannot say it as not performing well. If it was negative, it means we would have taken out those particular securities from the portfolio, but it is comparatively less than that of the market index. In such situation, we can go for the portfolio revision that we are going to see in the next aspect of that particular chapter. Okay. So here the conclusion is going to be based on this. Okay. And this is the difference that we are going to find out of the actual and that of the expected return. Okay. Okay. So here if Rp minus Rf, yes. Now this particular formula we are going to get the difference as you said, okay? So if you just try to bifurcate, then we can make a comparison. If we are putting those values, that particular formula of Rp minus and this whole, if we try to substitute in one formula, then we will get these values. Okay. In that cases, what happens there, the comparison becomes difficult because here we are trying to find out with the actual return and with that of the expected return. But here you are just getting the market index. Here actually it is a difference. So I just need to check out with regard to which formula and how can we do the comparison of the funds performance. If we do this, then the comparison has to be with regard to the expected return as per the CAP model. Okay. I'll just cross check with the rest of the two formulas how we can compare, and then I'll just clarify this particular doubt. Okay. So for 10th problem, can we use Jensen alpha? We can use Jensen alpha because all the details that we need to calculate for the Jensen alpha, it is already being there. With regard to RM, we have as 20%, we are having RF as 10%, and assured return as 25%. You can use it because you will get the value there of with regard to alpha. But it should be clearly specified with regard to Jensen alpha or something like this. Only then it would be like we are justifying, because the first part of the question is slightly the data is something different. Okay. And here this sub question B is trying to connect with that of sub question A, because here also you have calculated alpha and beta values, but here what are they trying to say? If the values are being changed, what would be the value of alpha? So there we cannot connect with some other formula. No doubt Jensen alpha will give you the value of alpha here because you're having all the variables that you need for that particular formula, but we cannot use some other formula here when you are connecting with a beta value formula. When you're saying beta value formula here, why have we taken this? Because we are given with number of different periods. Okay. You can use Jensen alpha, but you have to write a note because you will get the same value for both, because here you are having just for 1 year, but here it was over a period of time of 5 years, and that is why you have taken the different formula, that is n of summation xy. So you can use Jensen alpha, not a problem, but you need to write just the note for it. Even that particular formula is valid because you're having the data of only 1 year here. Okay, so not a problem, you can use even Jensen alpha. We have used this particular formula because we are having the values over a period of 5 years or over a period of 10 years. So in that case, we need to use this particular formula of n into summation xy. If you use Jensen alpha also, it is not wrong, it is correct. You can go for it. Yes, that is what. For the beta here it is for over a period of 5 years, and that is why this is the formula. So you can go with even Jensen alpha, not a problem. So Trupti has a doubt. You have raised your hand.
No, ma'am, by mistake.
Okay. So I guess previously even Akshata Shivpuji by mistake she has raised her hand.
Yes, ma'am, by mistake.
Okay. So as Anuradha has highlighted, you can use Jensen alpha, not a problem. You will get the correct values. But you just need to specify that, that's it. So I'll just verify with this. So the question papers are also put in the drive from 2014 to 2019. You can just go through the question papers, try to solve it, okay? And even fourth unit PDF is also put in the drive. You can just access that. And after I complete this particular unit, even I will be sharing this particular document in the PDF form again in the drive, okay? So shall we continue? If anybody is having any doubt. So Sonal has already calculated the value for alpha, beta is 0 and alpha is 15. I need to just calculate it and later on you can verify it, okay? So now after portfolio evaluation, the last aspect, okay, in case of security analysis is all about portfolio revision. So in fourth and fifth unit, it is totally, I mean, right from third unit, it is all about introduction to portfolio analysis, okay, with regard to expected return, actual return, market returns, okay. And then we start constructing a particular portfolio. We construct a portfolio because every investor have their own certain specific goals, and every individual has their own risk taking capacity in terms of whether it is maximum risk, minimum risk, or it can be neutral. So based on these particular areas or considering all these parameters, an individual investor will construct a portfolio. And when it comes to construction of a portfolio, it is always expected that there has to be a combination of risk-free securities as well as risky securities. And once the portfolio construction is being done, over a period of time, it is also equally important to need to keep an eye on how the portfolio which is being constructed, whether it is performing well or not. So that comes with regard to the accounting aspect of measurement in terms of the risk which that particular security is holding and to what extent we are fetching the returns out of the portfolio construction. That is one aspect. And second thing, it also takes care to see in case of portfolio evaluation whether we have invested in the right company's stock. And when we get to know whether it is we have invested in the right company stock, only when we are having a positive returns or more than that of the expectation, when we are getting good returns from the portfolio, then it is evaluated that it is performing well, and we would continue with the same group of securities that are being constructed earlier. But if there are certain variations or fluctuations over a period of time that the company is not performing well, and when the company is not performing well, definitely it will be reflected on the share prices. I'm speaking about all the shares which are being listed in the stock exchange, which will have a greater reflection on the returns, okay. As far as risk-free rate of return securities are concerned, the comparison is not towards the market because you have a predetermined returns, but based on the macroeconomic factors, it will definitely have a hit. Now, when you consider the present pandemic situation, even the risk-free rate of returns have come down. For example, if you are considering the fixed deposit interest rate, it is over a period of last 2 years, it was at least around 6, 7.5 or ranging up to 8 maybe. But now it is totally come down to either in between 6 and 5, or it would be at times 5.75 and so on. Because of the macroeconomic factors, even the risk-free returns will also have a greater fluctuations. Now there the investor has to take into certain areas whether am I meeting the inflation rates, whether the returns are meeting at least the inflation rates. So that is going to be all about evaluation. So after you're evaluating, what changes can I do for the existing portfolio so that I can meet the basic requirement, what is expected from the portfolio to fetch, but rather it should not turn out into the negative return. So that is a greater care which every investor will consider, either to maintain safety of principal as well as a regular nominal returns. But it should not risk the principal amount. That care has to be taken, and there comes a call which the investor has to take to revise the portfolio in such circumstances when your portfolio is going into fetching a negative returns. So now what is this portfolio? So with this we are going to understand what is actually portfolio revision. Portfolio revision would be the last step where we are making certain changes or we are making certain alterations towards our existing portfolio. Maybe we are going to reduce the proportion or we might increase the proportion. All the time portfolio revision doesn't mean if there are negative returns I have to revise my portfolio. Not necessary. If your portfolio is doing well but every individual expect it has to earn some more higher return, so there you can have certain alterations in terms of increasing the proportion of your investment in those areas or in those particular company stock which is extremely doing well. Okay, today when you can see the best way that the investment can be done is in case of pharmaceutical companies, which is actually doing well even in the present scenario. Okay, because it is actually growing and that is a need of the hour which is required. So these are certain aspects that we can take at this particular moment when we are thinking of portfolio revision. So portfolio revision is basically a periodic change that we are doing in the components. Now what do you mean by components here? Components is going to be a various different individual securities. Either we are going to try to remove it out from the portfolio or we are adding some other new security into our portfolio. So that is a periodic changes in the components of portfolio on the basis of performance evaluation. So the meeting will end in 10 minutes. Okay. So on the basis of performance evaluation, so these are the two important elements that an investor will consider to revise the portfolio. If the portfolio is doing well and it is trying to meet the investor goals, then there is no need to revise the portfolio. If it is giving negative returns, in such cases, there are chances to revise the portfolio, or if it is not meeting the investor goals or they have set certain long-term goals, then they can revise the portfolio for such securities which is giving or fetching you long-term returns. So performance evaluation and investor goal, these are the key towards the portfolio revision. Okay. So as I have told, this can be done either by adding or removing the securities in the portfolio, or the second way is you can change the proportion of funds that is invested in the components of existing. Let us say if out of 100, if you have done 25 each equally, if you have distributed over a proportion, what you can do, if there is one particular security of a particular company which is not doing well, then you can take out the 25% share and add it to the existing which is doing well. So what you can do, you can take it as 50 in one security, 25 25. So you are taking out one set of such security in a particular portfolio which is not performing well. So here what are you doing? Actually you are removing the security as well as you're changing the proportion. So you have changed the proportion of security D with that of adding another 25%, let us say security A. So I hope students are getting what am I saying. So if you're having 4 securities like A, B, C and D in a portfolio, let us say 2 are of risk free and 2 are risky assets. Okay. In that case, if the risk free is fetching you low returns and the risky is fetching you high returns, even in such cases you can remove the risk free and you can put that into risky. So what are you doing? You're doing both the jobs. You are removing from the security, at the same time you're changing the proportion. So this is all about portfolio revision. Why this is being done? This is done with these two key elements. One is with regard to the performance evaluation, and second one whether it is meeting the investor goals or not. Okay, so these are the two things that you have to take care when we are revising the portfolio. And after all, why there is a need that we have to go for portfolio revision? because every investor expects at least certain reasonable return that they have to earn over a period of time, but rather not risk the principal amount nor get a negative returns. Okay, and that is why the investor can sell his shares if the price of the share reaches a historic price. Now, what is the meaning of historic price here? For example, if you purchase the securities of Reliance company, let us say for rupees 1000, okay, and it has been jumped for that particular period up to the selling price is going on to 5000, so you are actually making 4000 profit for one security. So that would be a historic price which is being reaching, so you can make profit by selling. So there comes the point of portfolio revision. Portfolio revision means when you are selling even a set of securities, you are revising it. Okay, so when the goals of an investor is going to shift from earnings to capital appreciation, even in that case your portfolio will revise. Now when it comes to earnings, you are choosing only certain short-term securities which is going to fetch you with returns. Capital appreciation expects that you have to keep that particular securities in the portfolio for a long-term period of time. So even in that case, you can revise your portfolio. Okay, so basically the revision of the portfolio is not similar, but rather it is going to be unique for every individual, because every individual has got different goals which are being set over a period of time. Okay, and accordingly the revision has to take place. There is no hard and fast rule with regard to the period for which the portfolio revision has to take place, but it is very important the investor needs to consider risk, quality and tax concessions. So these are some of the also elements or the parameters that we have to take care in case of portfolio revision. Okay, but at the same time the portfolio is considered by an investor because of these different factors. One is shift in the investment goal. You will have portfolio revision if it is from short term to medium or it is to long term. Then change in the aptitude risk. Maybe now you are ready to take a higher risk, or maybe previously you were taking a higher risk. Now you are moving on to be a neutral investor. That also may be the reason for portfolio revision. Then changes in the return profile of the securities. Yes, over a existing of 5 or 6 securities which you have been chosen, the returns are totally being changed over a period of time for the group of securities. Then increase if your salary or the income from the business that is being generated is increasing or it is multiplying every year. In that case, definitely we'll try to choose new set of securities or increase the proportion of profitable securities. Then need for funds to reduce the portfolio size. Okay, then changes in macroeconomic factors. So I guess in the present situation which we all are living, this change in the macroeconomic factors has hit the economic progress, and definitely investors would also think of portfolio revision in the present pandemic situation, because they are not ready to take a higher risk. Rather they will choose more that of conservative industries, or you can call it as a defensive industries, wherein they can have at least a reasonable rate of return where they can match up with that of the inflation rates. Okay, so these are in general certain factors as well as certain elements which has to be taken into consideration by an individual investor towards portfolio revision. So at the same time, there are two important techniques which are being taken into consideration when we are trying to revise our portfolio. Okay, so we are having two important techniques for portfolio revision, and along with that we are having certain sub points with regard to portfolio revision. So I guess we are just left out with some 2 minutes, so this would be incomplete. So tomorrow would be the last session wherein I will be just completing with regard to portfolio techniques, portfolio revision techniques, and after that we will just try to highlight on the question papers. Before that I want students to just go back through the question papers. Okay, so if you're having any doubts there, we can clarify it. So in tomorrow's session, we will be completing with portfolio revision techniques. Okay. So till here, if anybody is having any doubt with regard to portfolio revision, I can address the doubts. Else we will end the meeting for today, and tomorrow we will complete that particular portfolio revision techniques. Hope so. If tomorrow, if there is no meeting, I will be taking class by 11 a.m. Okay. So shall we end the meeting for today? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.